I bear lightly what the court calls my guilt, to plot and to conspire. Yet I am guilty, but not the way you think. I should have recognized my duties sooner. I should more sharply have named evil as evil. Don't do what I did. Don't wait till the bombs are falling.
Everyone who has met Daniel Ellsberg tends to comment on his intelligence, which is really undeniable. He was an extraordinarily brilliant man. Ellsberg became one of McNamara's whiz kids, these super bright, brainy analysts that would come in and solve foreign policy decisions simply by dint of hard work and study. He arrived in the Pentagon just as the war in Vietnam was really starting to escalate. He had some doubts about how the war was being fought, but he did believe in the cause. And so after a year in the Pentagon, he volunteered to go to Vietnam for 20 months with the State Department to try to figure out how to wage the war more effectively.
In October of 1967, I was among people many of whom were obsessed, as I was, with ending this fruitless and, as I came to realize, wrongful war. By '69, many of them, perhaps most of the 4,000 who went to prison, were in prison at that point. And it was their example that made me realize that I should do more than I had yet done. What I had yet done was to tell my superiors in the Defense Department, just as McNamara was telling the president, but not the public.
And it's at that moment that he realized that he had access to this extraordinary document that demonstrated powerfully and conclusively that one U.S. administration after another of both parties, Democrat and Republican, had lied to the American people and to Congress about the causes and conduct of the American war in Vietnam. And this was sort of a history of lies and deceit.
The American people might not permit that policy to be pursued if they were aware at last of the policy to which they'd been party for over 20 years at that point.
Because of the following CBS News special report, the program normally seen at this time will not be presented today.
Nothing else of interest in the world?
Yes, sir. Very significant, this goddamn New York Times expose of the most highly classified documents of the war.
Oh, that. I see. I didn't read the story, but you mean that was leaked out of the Pentagon?
This is a devastating security breach of the greatest magnitude of anything I've
Well, did we know this was coming out?
No, we did not, sir.
They tried to literally stop the presses, and they went to court saying national security is at stake. You have to issue an order saying that these papers cannot be published.
The case, of course, raises important and difficult problems about the constitutional right of free speech and of the free press. But it also raises important questions of the equally fundamental and important right of the government to function. Great emphasis has been put on the First Amendment, and rightly so.
But then there's kind of the symbolism wrapped up in the Pentagon Papers decision. And the symbolic importance is that the government does not have limitless power over the press, and that in some cases courts will step in.
We've got to keep our eye on the main ball. The main ball is Ellsberg. We got to get this son of a bitch.
Ellsberg's release of the Pentagon Papers were hailed by many people as an act of profound national service and patriotism, a heroic act. But there are also files full of hate mail.
A really common assumption is that the Espionage Act, because of its name, must be something that only pertains to spies. And so in Daniel Ellsberg's case, when the Nixon administration decided to pursue a prosecution, as a matter of applying the statute, it was kind of a straightforward situation because the language is so broad. They were able to say, well, this is national defense information because that's a very broad term. So it's certainly broad enough to cover a history of the Vietnam War. And the reason for that is because under the act, the public interest is irrelevant. And in retrospect, almost a little bit darkly humorous political context surrounding it, that this was, after all, the Nixon administration, which ultimately ended up destroying its own prosecution because of its infamous dirty tricks. Because the Nixon administration had done everything from bug Daniel Ellsberg's psychiatrist's office to trying to bribe the judge by offering him the directorship of the FBI. So ultimately, the case collapsed.
Ellsberg's opposition to the Vietnam War led to a 50-year life of committed nonviolent activism on behalf of peace, democracy, and nuclear disarmament. It's really quite an impressive and staggering record of political commitment. Whistleblowers in more recent times have often said that they were inspired by Daniel Ellsberg's example. So he was an incredible mentor to many of these younger whistleblowers.
I've said to many times to people who had such inside knowledge, don't wait till thousands have been killed before you reveal documents that reveal lies, reveals breaking of treaties. The cost is likely to be great, as Snowden and Assange and Chelsea Manning have found, but a war's worth of lives is at stake.
That is why we have established the International Ellsberg Whistleblower Award. Courage is contagious.